right, we are on Machshirin Parabet Mishnah Yud. We're talking about a mixed city of Jews and Gentiles, and you find stuff in the road. So now we're going to talk about if you find, I would say, perot, if you find produce in the road. And now, in order to understand this, there's a few halacha we have to learn about. First one is called demai. We're going to come across demai in the next Mishnah. But demai, there's a whole mesechet called demai. And demai is because Chazal understood that there were people called Amei Haaretz, who, on the one hand, they cared about truma, they cared about karet, and if you eat truma, you get karet, so they were not into that. But they really were not into also giving the Levi 10% of their produce. So they didn't do that. What they didn't realize was, when you don't give the Levi produce, the Levi has to take off what's called trumat maaser, truma. So there's truma in the maaser. That's also chayav karet, bad. So Chazal said all produce from the Amid Aretz had to be treated like demai, and you have to take off certain amounts designated for the Kohen, misafek, from a din of a safek. So now, the question also, the next thing you have to know is also, when you find produce in Eretz Yisrael, the question is, I found it, like in Chutz La'aretz, you just eat it. What could be bad about apples? But in Eretz Yisrael, what could be bad about apples? Again, what I said, if they didn't take off Trumot and Ma'asrot, you're up the creek. So the halacha is the following. We're going to use this for the Bartuner's explanation. This Mishnah is somewhat complicated, and there's a lot of introduction. The halacha is the following. If you pick fruit, right, and you're going to bring it into your house, lachnis labai, if you're going to bring it into your house, if you pick fruit to bring in your house, then before you bring it into the house, it's not chayav in trumot and ma'asrot until you bring it into the house, until it enters the doorway or the gate or whatever, and therefore you can eat it what's called arai, you can eat it temporarily. But if you pick fruit and you're going to take it to the market, then that's called gemar melacha, then it's ready to be used, and therefore you cannot eat arai. So if I have, let's say, I've got an orange tree in my backyard, I can eat oranges right off the tree without having to worry about it because I'm taking it into my house. But if I have an orchard and we're going to bring it to the market, and we're going to sell it, then even if I pick oranges, I cannot eat them arai. So it says the Mishnah, Hamasei perod b'derech. I found perod on the road, and I don't know, was the guy going to take him to his house, or was he going to take him into, if it belongs to a Jew? Imrov, I guess we're talking about a Jewish community here. Imrov machnisim lebateyem. If most people bring them into their homes, patur, then you're exempt mila aser from taking maser before you eat them. But if most people take their produce to the shuk, then chayav. Now, I want to just tell you, that's the Kati's explanation. The Bartunura has two other explanations. This Mishnah, it's somewhat problematic. For example, I'll show you why. Mechza lemechza, but if it's half and half people that take to their houses and half people that take to the shuk, then the Bartanur says demai. Then the Mishnah says that's demai. Now, as I said before, demai has halachic status, but here the Kati says it doesn't mean demai. It just means it's a case of safek. In the case of safek, you have to treat it like a case of safek, and therefore you should be ma'aser mi safek. But it's not real demai. That's one of the big problems in this Mishnah. Next, otzar. Let's say you have a storehouse. Jews and non-Jews, they store their produce in it. Again, now I want to know, is it really demai or not? Im rov necharim vadai. If the majority of the produce belongs to non-Jews, then vadai. Then you have to take off trumot and masot for sure. Im rov Yisrael belongs to most Jews, then demai. Then we consider it safek meusar, because remember, many Jews did not take off trumot and masot. You have to treat it like demai. Mechza lemechza, if it's half and half, then vadai. Then for sure you have to treat it like there's vadai, like the non-Jews, divri Rabbi Meir. Why do Rabbi Meir? Says the Bartuner. Rabbi Meir l'ta'amei. Rabbi Meir is according to his logic, disvirale, that he holds, and this has huge ramifications today. He says, Ein kinyan lachi be'eretz Yisrael lafkia min ha'ma'aser. The fact that a non-Jew owns land and works the land and produces produce doesn't mean that the produce is not chayav and trumot and masrot. So, ein kinyan l'nachi. Nachi doesn't have a kinyan, the ability to acquire land in the land of Israel, lafkia min ha'ma'aser, in order to absolve the produce of the obligation of masrot. So, even though it belongs to non-Jews, upeirot shegalu b'karkaot shel nachri, the peirot that grew on the lands of a non-Jew, of a Gentile, chayivim b'maser. You have to be mu'usar v'anachri pshita lo iser. Right, the non-Jew himself, he doesn't take off ma'aser, and therefore, if the majority of non-Jews, vadai, for sure he didn't take off ma'asrot, because why should he do it? It's not his problem, it's the Jew's problem. And therefore, the Jew who buys it from him has to take off ma'aser. V'im rov Yisrael, demai, but if the majority belongs to the Jewish people, demai, kedin perot animsim biyad am haaretz. That's like an am haaretz. Shetzarich lafrish trumat ma'aser, ma'aser sheni. You have to designate trumat ma'aser and ma'aser sheni, which you anyway take to Yerushalayim or you take to Yerushalayim. That's Rabbi Meir, who said, and that's a huge machloket that you can imagine has ramifications even today. Mechachamim say, Afilu kulam nachrim. V'Yisrael echad metil letocho. Even they were all Jews, but one Jew metil letocho. He stores in this storehouse, and you don't know which is which. That is the din of demai. That is the status of demai. Why Chachamim say yesh kin l'nachim b'Yisrael afkiyah min ha'maser. The non-Jews, you don't have to worry about their produce. Okay, and if there was no Jew at all, then it would all be patur. Ava kasheyesh afilu Yisrael echad shematil letocho. If there's one Jew who stores his produce there, hakol demai. It's all demai. Why? Because of that Jew, Shein Chayav, we're afraid he's an Amaretz, and therefore you have to separate Trumot and Ma'asrot of Demai, i.e. Trumat Ma'aser and Ma'aser Sheni of the Jew. We'll stop here, dedicate our learning, the memory of my father, of Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Make it a great day.